And Hillary Clinton recently predicted that the Supreme Court, quote, will do to gay marriage what they did to abortion. They will send it back to the states. Do you think that's the avenue that the Supreme Court would take?
Well, let me just say this. They could grant this cert petition and give Miss Davis what she needs without actually directly overturning Obergefell. So keep that in mind. But yeah, if they did overturn their prior decision from 10 years ago, it would return to the states. But Congress did pass a law that says each state has to respect the marriage licenses issued by other states. So it's not the complete end of same-sex marriage if the Supreme Court takes this action.
Exactly. That passed, I believe, back in 2022, and it enshrines the right, marriage equality. I mean, how much does that matter here when it comes to the Supreme Court? Because even if the Supreme Court overturns Obergefell, then what happens?
Right. So it provides a floor, if you will, a minimum guarantee for those people who are living in states that allow same-sex marriages, that they could continue to seek such licenses, and that if they travel or move to a different state that doesn't allow for such marriages, that at least the certificates issued by a state that allows these marriages would be respected. So there is some floor, some minimum guarantees allowed for people who have obtained such licenses, but it leaves a lot of people out in the dark if they want to live in a state that doesn't allow gay same-sex marriages.
And the Supreme Court hasn't acted yet, but I think there's two big questions. One, will they hear this case? Two, will the Supreme Court overturn same sex marriage? And I think based on the conversation, you think one, they could hear this case. Two, you might have a tougher time overturning that in this Supreme Court. I mean, am I characterizing that correctly?
Right. If there's four votes to take the case up, they'll then have to decide what questions they're going to take up. Will it be the more narrow question of should the civil litigant have an affirmative defense in a civil lawsuit for damages, which is very different than is same-sex marriage legal? Or they could take the broader question and do a frontal assault and take on the question and directly reverse this 10-year-old precedent.
And what specifically are you looking out for next?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the amicus parties line up in terms of which parties file amicus briefs. It'll be interesting to see how long this sits in conference in terms of how long it takes the Supreme Court to review this. And it'll also be interesting to see if there's other petitions that are filed that more directly, let's just say, present a more attractive vehicle for the Supreme Court to do what it wants to do here.
Well, Jeff, there's certainly a lot to look out for. And as we see this develop, as we see, even if the Supreme Court hears this case, I hope you can come back on and break it down with me. Thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome back anytime.
Of course. Thanks for having me.